Hey guys, the purpose of this video is to give you a brief rundown as to how you set up the game of lore. And if you're playing on the Tabletop Simulator version, a lot of the setup we've coded to do for you by just following the step-by-step guide listed there. Sit down at the table, pick your character, click start game, and pick the type of game you're playing, and all that setup should just occur. If you are playing on Tabletop Simulator and want to skip to the gameplay tutorial, just use the chapters in the video. So without further ado, here's how you set up lore. To set up the game, place the world map, lore board, and merchant board at the center of the table. Shuffle and place the monster decks, then place a day 1 monster next to each row of the map. Then place the lore, event, quest, relic, ability, and merchant decks on the board. Each player chooses a character board, takes the matching figure and colored tokens. They'll then place their tokens on their starting traits and renown, and then place their hero on a location of the same type shown on their board. Everyone starts with 3 gems and draws 2 quest cards, keeping 1. In competitive mode, each player will draw a motivation card, which is a secret method by which they score. Finally, reveal 3 ability cards on the merchant board. The player who most recently read or watched a fantasy story takes the first turn. The games play over 3 days, each day having 4 time phases: dawn, daylight, sunset, and night. Each player takes 1 turn during each phase, and everyone gets 12 turns total across the game. After each day, the first player token moves clockwise and stronger monsters appear for the next day. On your turn, you'll do 3 things: travel, take a main action, and potentially collect an event. When you travel, move your character to 1 adjacent location. You can always spend 2 traits to travel farther, or to unlock a hidden path, earning 1 renown and allowing all other players to use that path for the remainder of the game. If you do not travel, you may train. When you train, stay where you are and increase 1 of your traits: might, mischief, or magic. After moving or training, take 1 main action. You can choose from 4 main actions: duel, treasure hunt, lore, and shop. The first main action is duel. When you duel, gain 1 might, and face off against the monster in your row, rolling up to 3 white dueling dice for yourself and 1 black dueling die for the monster. The face of each die represents a trait: might, mischief, or magic. Choose 1 of your rolled traits and add it to the value of your abilities and companions, and compare the total power to that of the monsters. There's a bit going on here, so feel free to pause the video, but you get the hang of it pretty quick. If your power is equal to or higher than the monster, you win the duel and claim the wager shown on the monster card. If you win against the monster's strongest trait, gain its bonus effect as well. You may take empowered versions of several of the main actions by spending 1 renown when you take the action. When you take an empowered duel action, you force the monster to use their highest trait, thereby guaranteeing the bonus effect if you were to beat it. When the duel is over, you must spend whatever traits you rolled and then place the monster into your discard pile. The next main action is treasure hunt. First, gain 1 mischief, then roll 2 treasure dice. Earn gems or relics depending on the results. To take an empowered treasure hunt, spend 1 renown and replace 1 of the treasure die with the relic die for better rewards. Relics are worth points at the end of the game, or can be discarded at any point to gain a burst of traits. They also have a secret: when discovered, can gain you 1 renown. The third main action is lore. First, gain 1 magic, and take 1 of your player tokens and place it under a scroll on the lore board. When both slots under a card are filled, flip the card, and the players whose tokens are in the rightmost column gain bonus immediate and passive effects. To take an empowered lore action, spend a renown, take a normal lore action, and then swap 2 cubes on the lore board or place 1 cube in an empty space. The final action is shop. You may only do this in settled locations, which are noted by the red icons with the windmills on the board. And at settled locations, you may visit the shop to buy abilities, interact with the merchant, and draw 2 quests, keeping 1 of them. Note that the shop action does not have an empowered version. At the end of your turn, check if your location's aura matches the current time of day. If it does, draw an event card. Events grant unique effects, like gaining companions, temporary bonuses, or magical items, and are played according to their timing instructions. Many events can be played on or for other players, gaining yourself renown in doing so. Quests are the main way to earn renown and points. Each quest lists requirements, usually actions or locations, that must be completed in order. You can complete at most one requirement per action. Once a quest is finished, you'll either gain its renown or score its points. Note that in a competitive or cooperative game, if you're in the location with another player and you haven't progressed any of their current quests, you have the option to progress their quests instead of your own if you fulfill the requirement and gain one renown in doing so. One of the core tenets of lore is that nearly all player interaction is positive, so playing events for each other and assisting each other in each other's quests is how we hope this tenet is lived out. After the third day, the game ends. In competitive mode, add your total points up. Renown gives 3 points, lore tokens, 3 points each, plus 1 for every matching pair you have. Relics are 4 points each, gems, half a point each, rounded up. Motivation card, which is essentially a secret objective that you have, are calculated at the end of the game as well. The player with the highest score wins. In the case of a tie, the player with the most renown and then the most gems wins. In solo and cooperative mode, players work together to defeat the Dark Paladin. Set up his board and place power tokens based on the difficulty, and then shuffle the curse deck. At the start of days 1 and 2, roll 3 dueling dice to determine his effect in each row of the map. If red, a merchant becomes corrupted and placed in the settled location of that row. If green, a relic is stolen and placed in the wild location of that row. If blue, a curse card is placed on the lore board, according to the row where the curse is placed. For example, if the curse is rolled on the second row, the curse card is placed on the second scroll. If the curse had been rolled on the third row, the curse card would be placed on the third scroll, etc. The curse must be broken in the mystical location of that row. Each of these effects must be resolved by visiting the affected locations and completing specific tasks. All players must defeat the corrupted merchants to save them. All players must recover stolen relics through empowered treasure hunts or by hiring the merchant in that row. All players must break curses by completing their conditions or by placing 2 lore tokens beneath the affected scroll. At the end of the day, players may spend renown to decrease the Dark Paladin's power by that much. Any unresolved effect ruins that location at the end of each day, placing 2 ruined tokens if no players made progress removing it, or 1 ruined token if any player made progress removing it. If there are ever 10 ruined tokens out at any point, all players lose the game. On day 3, the Dark Paladin appears on the map, moving to a ruined location determined by the roll of a dueling die. At the start of each phase, he moves again and adds a ruined token to the location he moves to. When a player ends a phase in the Dark Paladin's location, the final battle begins. All players automatically travel to that location. Their effects from their final turn remain active. So this does mean in cooperative, games can be less than 12 turns should players choose to fight the Dark Paladin early. When the final battle begins, move the ruined tokens from the map to the respective traits of the Dark Paladin. He will gain power based on the number of players and ruined tokens in that trait. Players share the 4 white dueling dice, rolling 1 black die for the Paladin. Add all player powers together. If they equal or exceed the Paladin's power, the heroes win. If not, the world falls into darkness. That's the core of how to play lore. We're incredibly grateful and excited for you to get your hands on physical copies and can't wait to hear the stories you guys come up with. From Joe and Josh at Campfire Games, thanks.